Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, we're going to do lots of traveling this hour of comedy here on Classic Radio Theater with a trip to Wistful Vista and see what's going on with Fibber McGee and Molly. We'll head to Summerfield and see what's going on with the Water Commissioner, the Great Gildersleeve. And we will head to Pine Ridge, Arkansas to see what's going on with Lum and Abner. That's all straight ahead. On this Monday, it is the second day of October, 275th day of the year, 90 days remaining until we get to 2024. President Washington transmitted the proposed constitutional amendments to the state for ratification. Those amendments would become known as the Bill of Rights. The Texas Revolution began on this date in 1835 with the Battle of Gonzales. Mexican soldiers attempted to disarm the people of Gonzales, Texas, encountered stiff resistance from a hastily assembled militia. That is why the Second Amendment still remains very important. In Colorado in 1889, Nicholas Creed struck it rich in silver during the last great silver boom of the American Old West. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson suffered a massive stroke that left him partly paralyzed. That was in 1919. In 1924, the Geneva Protocol, a treaty prohibiting the use of chemical and biological weapons in international armed conflicts, adopted in 1924. As a means to strengthen the League of Nations. 1925, John Logie Baird performed the first test of the working television system. Not what we're used to today. It was a mechanical system, and it was not always compatible. Very unreliable. The electronic system, however, was very working for many, many years before we went digital. 1950, Peanuts by Charles M. Schulz was first published. In 1959, premiering on this date, a TV series that remains active to this day in one form or another. The Twilight Zone ran for 4.5 seasons, 4 full seasons of half-hour shows, a half season of hour-long episodes. In the original run, 156 episodes aired. It brought about a 1983 feature film and 2 revival series in 1985 and 2002. Rod Serling also created the 1969 Night Gallery television series and the radio series 0 Hour, a one-season attempt to bring back classic radio. The creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, said about Serling, "No one could know Serling or view or read his work without recognizing his deep affection for humanity and his determination to enlarge our horizons by giving us a better understanding of ourselves." 1967, Thurgood Marshall sworn in as the first African-American justice of the Supreme Court. In 1970, an event which affected me, a plane carrying the Wichita State University football team, administrators, and supporters crashed in Colorado, killing 31 people. Why did it affect me? Because I had a cousin that was a freshman for Wichita State and played football, and he was not on that flight. And that was probably the only way he was going to get to play. He was a good high school football player, but not good enough to do extremely well in college. But that was a tragic incident that affected us deeply in Kansas. 1984, President Reagan accepted responsibility for the deaths of 24 people, including 2 Americans, in the September 20th suicide car bombing targeting the U.S. Embassy in Beirut.
I am responsible, as I said that I was on the previous tragedy. I was responsible and no one else for our policy and our people being there.
The Islamic Jihad organization claimed responsibility for the attack in a telephone call a few hours after the explosion. And what I can say about President Reagan, if nothing else, is that he was not a president who always fluffed stuff off on somebody else. He always took responsibility, whether or not it was really his responsibility. And I thought that was, the buck stops here, that old Truman adage. The Electronic Freedom of Information Act amendment signed by former President Bill Clinton on this date in 1996. 2001, the NATO backs the U.S. military strikes following 9/11. 2002, the Beltway sniper attacks began, extending over 3 weeks. Rather than it being some right-wing white radical, it turned out to be some people of color. 2006, 5 school girls murdered by Charles Carl Roberts in a shooting at an Amish school in Nichols Mine, Pennsylvania, before Roberts committed suicide. And in 2019, a privately owned Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress conducting a living history exhibition flight crashed shortly after takeoff from Windsor Locks, Connecticut, killing 7 people. Passing away on this date in history, Rock Hudson.
I am not happy that I am sick. I'm not happy that I have AIDS. But if that is helping others, I can at least know that my own misfortune has had some positive work.
Hudson's last words read by his friend actor Burt Lancaster at an AIDS benefit just 10 days earlier. Hudson was too ill to attend. Also passing away on this date in history, actress Madeleine Carroll, Harriet Hilliard Nelson, Ozzie Nelson's wife and co-star for so many years, also a fine singer. Also, actor, singer, entrepreneur Gene Autry, also a radio guy. He owned radio stations, he did. Also, comedian Nipsey Russell, the poet laureate of comedy. And also singer-songwriter, guitarist, producer Tom Petty. This is the birth date of one Groucho Marx.
I'm going to tell you of that great, mysterious, wonderful continent known as Africa. The first day I shot 2 bucks. That was the biggest game we had. The elks, on the other hand, live up in the hills. And in the spring, they come down for their annual convention. It is very interesting to watch them come to the water hole. And you should see them run when they find it is only a water hole. What they're looking for is an alcohol. One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
What relation to the artist was Whistler's mother?
Whistler?
Mother! I'm sorry, the answer is Grant's tomb.
Let's face it, the money was significant that was given away on You Bet Your Life, anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, which today would be the rough equivalence of $11,000 to $56,000. But the real reason people showed up for the show was Groucho Marx, who did more than just a game show. I think we all know that. Very funny man. Groucho Marx, born on this date in history. In fact, it was 123 years ago. Can we believe? My gosh, was that long ago he was born? Also, the leader of slave uprisings, Nate Turner. Also, Cordell Hull, the former Secretary of State, Nobel Peace Prize recipient. George Spanky McFarlane from the original Spanky and Our Gang comedies, born on this date. Attorney Johnny Cochran. Pro wrestler Rodney Anoy, best known as Yokozuna, born on this date. His kids are wrestling today in the WWE. And also, can we forget? We can't forget the legendary Bud Abbott.
Well, let's see now. We have on our team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
That's what I want to find out, the guy's name. That's what I want to find out, the guy's name.
Now tell me, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
Now, Abbott, you going to be the manager of the baseball team?
Yes.
You know the guy's name?
Well, I should.
Well, you tell me the guy's name's on the baseball team.
Say, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
You ain't saying nothing to me yet. Go ahead and tell me.
I'm telling him.
You ain't said nothing yet. Go ahead and tell me.
Who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
You know the guy's name's on the baseball team?
Yes.
Well, go ahead. Who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the guy's name.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first?
What are you asking me for? I don't know.
Wait a minute.
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's his name.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
That's it. That's his name.
You ain't said nothing. I ain't asked you nothing.
You did.
You know the guy's name on first base?
Sure.
Tell me the guy's name on first base.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who is on first, Lou?
What are you asking me for?
After Lou Costello passed away in 1959, and of course Abbott and Costello split up in 1957, and in 1960 Abbott began performing with Candy Candido, who you remember from some of the shows with, who is it? Oh, The Big Nose, that's Jimmy Durante, yes. And Candy Candido would come out, and talk like this, and he would talk like this, and then he would talk in a real bass. I'm feeling mighty low. Candy Candido was a funny guy, but Abbott called it quits after a time, saying no one could ever live up to Lou. He did some serious dramatic work, but I have to tell you that Abbott was considered for a cameo in It's a Mad, Mad World. He didn't, but he suffered some strokes. In 1964, passed away in 1974. Bud Abbott, half of a great comedy team. Bud Abbott, born on this date in history. Now, people who are still with us, how about the musician and actor Sting? Not the wrestler, the musician. And Sting talks about, he is 72 today, talks about how he got the name.
Why am I called Sting? It goes very well with my personality. I'm caustic. I'm not terribly sociable or friendly. However, it's not a name that I gave myself. It's a name that was given to me. I was christened it in a group. I was in a Dixieland jazz group. And I used to wear a stripy jumper. You don't call them jumpers, you call them pullovers. And I looked like a wasp. It was black and yellow. And the trombone player decided to call me Sting, and the name stuck. And it went so well with my personality that everybody calls me Sting. My mother calls me Sting. My 4-year-old son calls me Sting. My wife calls me Sting. My lawyer calls me Sting. I have a bank account with the name Sting on it.
Given name Gordon Sumner, Sting, 72 years old today. Movie critic, actor, and author Rex Reed, 85 years old today. Myra Breckenridge, as I recall, was the book he wrote that was exceedingly popular, made into a movie starring Raquel Welch. The man who wrote and sang about American Pie, primarily dealing with the death of Buddy Holly and all those wonderful people, Big Bopper, American Pie, Don McLean, 78 years old today. He was Hawk on Spencer for Hire, Cisco on Star Trek The Next Generation. Avery Brooks, 75 years old today. Singer Freddie Jackson, You Are My Lady. Freddie Jackson, 67 today. Oh, Robbie Neville, C'est la vie, c'est la vie. That's just the way it is. 65 years old today is Robbie Neville. Kelly Ripa, 53 today. Real name Tiffany Darwish, but she just went as Tiffany. Still singing today at 52 years old. Oh, you know all the stuff about Barbie? Way back when the group Aqua sang about I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Lene Nystrom, that singer, 50 years old today. From Saving Face, Michelle Kruchek is 49. From General Hospital, Brianna Brown is 44. And Eponine, in the film version of the musical Les Miserables, Samantha Barks is 33. Those some of the people who celebrate the second day of October as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you.
And we start off this hour of comedy by going back 78 years to October 2nd, 1945. Jim and Marion Jordan as Fibber McGee and Molly. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, right here. It appears we've got a tremendous classic radio fan up in Great Falls, Montana, or in the area around Great Falls. They have been streaming the heck out of our podcasts, and we appreciate you. Hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you will share the shows and tell people to go by classicradio.stream. You can stream the shows there. That's always the best thing to do. Or if you want to subscribe to one of the podcast apps, you can get the shows that way. I also appreciate to our friends in Great Falls or wherever you are across the world, if you'll go to mypillow.com and click on the Radio Listener Square. Get yourself a brand new limited edition MyPillow 20th Anniversary Edition. Now, these limited edition MyPillows normally sell for a lot more than that's what they're selling for. $19.98 for a queen size MyPillow limited edition. King size, $10 more. If you're getting the guest room made up, why not put one of these in the guest room? You can also get for Kale sheets as low as $25. Also the MyPillow towels and comforters. All sorts of stuff there. Bathrobes even. Get something for your guests. Treat them well. Go to mypillow.com. Use my promo code Wyatt, W-Y-A-T-T, or call 1-800-928-4715. 1-800-928-4715. Spruce up your guest room with MyPillow at a price you can afford. MyPillow.com, promo code Wyatt. Alrighty, let's head to Wistful Vista 79 to be precise and check in with what's going on in the household of Fibber McGee and Molly as it's welcome home Mayor LaTrivia time. He's coming back from the war. This originally broadcast 78 years ago, October 2nd, 1945.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. The makers of Johnson's Wax products for home and industry present Fibber McGee and Molly, written by Don Quinn and Phil Leslie, with music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. From coast to coast, there's one job that's getting the play right now, and I mean that easy job of cleaning and polishing a car with Johnson's Carnew. If you haven't bought yourself a package of Carnew, why not do it this week and be one of those car owners who is proud to drive down Main Street or Michigan Boulevard or Fifth Avenue? The truth is, it's so easy to clean and polish your car with Carnew that you won't mind doing it yourself. Carnew does two jobs at once, you know, both cleans and polishes with one application. This wax-fortified polish is a liquid which dries on application to a white powder. When you wipe off this powder, all the dirt and road grime and dullness vanish like magic. Carnew gives a super wax-smooth finish that doesn't offer much of a foothold to dust and dirt, which you can wipe off occasionally with surprising ease. Try Johnson's Carnew on your car this week. With a spectacular lack of regret, a large portion of our male population is getting back into civilian clothes. But always wanted to be different, the Squire of 79 Wistful Vista is busy getting into uniform. Just why he's making like a soldier, vintage 1918, remains to be seen as we join Fibber McGee and Molly.
Look, dearie, must you wear that old Army uniform today? Can't you go in civilian clothes?
No, sir. This is a military occasion, and by George, hey, hand me my blouse, will you?
Wait till I take these last two mothballs out of it. Well, heavenly days, look at that.
Huh?
Square mothballs.
Hmm.
with little black spots on them.
Oh, my gosh, so that's where those... How many spots on top?
Well, there's 4 spots on one and 3 on the other.
Well, how do you like that, a natural? After all these years. Not a dime riding on it. Oh, hey, this thing has shrunk, hasn't it?
No, I don't think so. You're just bigger in the chest.
Yeah, I guess I have.
And don't forget your chest is in a different place now, too.
Well, gee whiz, you can't
Hello,
blame it.
Mrs. McGee. Mr. McGee, are you... Oh, Mr. McGee, you're always clowning. What a costume.
Now, take it easy, Alice. That's his old Army uniform.
Oh, gee, I thought maybe he was in a play or something.
My dear child. Don't you realize that one of our greatest problems today is how to treat a returning serviceman? Don't you realize that you can't pick up a magazine today without reading an article about don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, don't talk to him about the war, do talk to him about the war, until a civilian is so darn nervous he can't talk to anybody about anything.
Yeah, and it's a lot of bally-scuttle if you ask me.
No.
Treat them like they were people, I always say.
Well, but I don't understand, Mr. McGee. You haven't been a returned serviceman for 25 years. Haven't you got over it yet?
An interesting question.
Look, Alice. You remember Mayor LaTrivia?
Oh, sure. He was that big, handsome man that went into the Coast Guard.
Well, he's coming home today, Alice. He's been in the Pacific for 3 years.
Creepers, and they finally picked him up?
He hasn't been in the Pacific all that time, Alice. He's been on the Pacific. New Guinea, Hollandaise, Lingayen Gulf, and all them places.
He's now a chief pretty officer.
Petty officer.
Well, I think he's pretty.
I'm telling you, chief petty officer. Whoops.
What was that?
Oh, just a button off his blouse, Alice. You better stand off to one side of him. He's loaded.
I think that uniform is very interesting. But why has he got his legs all bandaged up? Varicose veins?
Those are puttees, Alice. Wrap-around leggings.
Oh.
My gosh, didn't you ever see a uniform from the First World War? The big war? The one Riddy Eckenbacker and I were in?
It's Eddie Rickenbacker, and before she was born, dearie. Oh, do you have to go, Alex?
Yes, I've got to go to the airplane plant and get my tools. They're reconverting and I'm laid off. And about time, too. I helped make so many airplanes there, I wanted one myself.
What are they going to make now, Alice?
Baby carriages. Well... See you later, Mrs. McGee. Goodbye, Mr. McGee. I think your uniform is simply... Oh, brother.
What was she snickering about? Does this uniform look that funny?
Why, of course not, dearie.
Of course
it
not.
Looks lovely.
I think so, too.
With those white tennis shoes and the polka dot bow tie, you're the snappiest looking soldier.
You answer the phone, Molly. I'm still kind of dizzy from wrapping these leggings.
All right. Where is the phone? Oh, here it is. Right where we left it, June 26th. 79 Wistful Vista, Molly McGee speaking. Oh, hello, Mrs. Carstairs.
Oh, that old water buffalo.
Yes. You are? Why, we'd simply be delighted to, Mrs. Carstairs. What? Oh, just me. I see. You're the chairman of... Yes, but...
That old tomato surprise is chairman of so many committees, she has her gloves made with built-in gavels.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, Mrs. Carstairs.
Thank you.
Goodbye. McGee, you know what?
No, what?
Mrs. Carstairs is in charge of the reception committee for Mayor LaTrivia.
Huh?
And they're all going to meet him at the railroad station, and she's going to make a speech of welcome.
Hey, wait a minute. I got a speech all wrote out. And if that diamond-studded old mud runner thinks she's going to...
Yeah, but she's going to have the parade with Mayor LaTrivia in the back seat of her car, and she's asked me to ride with him, and I said you'd be with me, and she said there wouldn't be room for you. So I said...
Now, just a minute there. Hold everything.
But look, dearie, she...
I don't care what she said. Nobody's going to finagle me out of this thing. Where's my overseas cap?
Ah, you lost it at the Legion Convention in 1936.
Then I'll wear my air raid warden helmet. Where's my air raid warden helmet? By George, as a World War veteran, I think I'm entitled... Oh, I know where my air raid warden helmet is.
Where?
It's right here in the hall.
Oh, no, McGee, no, not the very first time he...
straighten out that closet one of these days. Ah, here's my old air raid warden helmet.
The King's Men sing Along the Navajo Trail.
Every day, along about evening, when the sunlight's beginning to fail, I ride through the slumbering shadows, along the Navajo Trail. When it's night and crickets are calling and coyotes are making a wail, I dream by a smoldering fire along the Navajo Trail. I love to lie and listen to the music when the wind is playing a sagebrush guitar. When over yonder hill the moon is climbing, it always finds me wishing on a star. Well, what do you know? It's morning already. There's the dawning, so silver and pale. It's time to climb into my saddle and go riding along the Navajo Trail. But when the crickets are calling and the coyotes are making a wail, I dream by a smoldering fire. I dream about the Navajo Trail. What do you know? It's morning already. There's the dawning beginning to pale. It's time to climb into my saddle and ride the Navajo Trail.
So, Mrs. Carstairs has took over the whole LaTrivia welcome celebration, has she?
Yes, she has, dearie.
Where are you meeting her? At her house? Or is she picking you up in her 40-cylinder Lincoln? The one that was given to her by Lincoln himself.
Oh.
Because she looks so much like George Washington.
Oh, now, for goodness sakes, McGee, Mrs. Carstairs never did a thing to you. Why do you dislike her so much?
Because she's rich and I'm poor. I know that ain't reasonable, but it's human. And the way I dislike her, I'm superhuman.
Well, for goodness sakes, try not to be so...
Oh, well, come in.
Well, heavenly days, Dr. Gamble.
Hello, my dear. Nice to see you. And how are you, Super Mouse? What's that uniform? Western Union?
My old Army outfit, Aerosmith. Well, how you been? How'd you spend the summer, kid?
Oh, hunting and fishing and hiking.
Really, Doctor?
Yes, hunting vacant beds in hospitals, fishing for appendices, and hiking 30 miles a day through maternity wards. Great little vacation.
30 years a doctor and can't say appendixes. Well, you don't look a day older, Doc. Not a day older than 106.
Say, did you hear about Mayor LaTrivia coming home from the Coast Guard today, Doctor?
I did indeed, my dear, and it'll be a great day for Wistful Vista. Those addle-pated incompetents in the town hall need somebody who knows a parking ordinance from a sewer assessment.
LaTrivia's the best mayor we ever had. He's the only politician in town that can wear a silk hat without looking like Jiggs sneaking out to Dinty Moore's saloon.
And his swallowtail coat never looks like it had spent the summer at Capistrano, either.
I'm depending on him to help get the city some new ambulances.
That's so.
Those 2 broken-down fracture trucks we have now spend so much time in the repair shop, my patients get to the hospital smelling like diesels.
This has been a pretty hard time for the doctors who had to stay home, hasn't it?
Oh, pata. Don't let this 4-flushing old artery pinch or kid you, baby. What's such hard work about tearing off 8 inches of adhesive tape 4 times a day?
You know, he's right, Molly. It's really a soft touch. If I hadn't been given a beautiful new stethoscope for Christmas, I'd give up medicine and go straight.
Tired of it, Doc?
Tired of it? Did you ever try making a living by having people stick their tongues out at you?
Yes, he did, Doctor. He used to work in the railroad ticket office.
Ah, touche.
I never wore one.
Well, will I see you at the reception for LaTrivia this afternoon, McGee? I'm on Mrs. Carstairs' committee.
What? Is everybody on that committee but me? What's the matter with me?
We went into that subject at a luncheon meeting, but we had to adjourn for dinner, so we never arrived at a conclusion. Good day, my dear. So long, corn borer.
This is a fine state of how do you do. Mayor LaTrivia's best friend, and they don't even ask me to be on the welcoming committee.
Well, my goodness, dearie, there'll be such a crowd at the station, you won't have a chance to talk to Mr. LaTrivia anyway.
Yeah, but the point is I'm being froze out. If I knew what train he was coming in on, I'd go to the next town up the line, and I'd...
Hello, folks.
Hello there, Mr. Wilcox. My goodness, we haven't seen you for ages.
Hi, Junior. What you been doing since we saw you last?
Oh, spending most of my time at the golf course. Say, did you hear about Mayor LaTrivia coming home today?
Oh, indeed we did, Mr. Wilcox. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to ride in Mrs. Carstairs' automobile in the parade.
Oh, swell. Me, too. I'm on her committee.
What? You too? Carstairs, Molly, Doc Gamble, and now you. What's going on here anyway? Am I being intentionally left out of this?
Oh, now, look, I've nothing to do with it, pal. Mrs. Carstairs is handling the whole celebration. And I'll bet LaTrivia will be mighty happy to be a civilian again.
I suppose he will. Although men formed some very strong friendships in the service. McGee did, I know.
I sure did. And speaking of friendships, I'll never forget what my sergeant says to me the day I was discharged. 3 little words that changed the whole course of my life.
What were they, McGee, those 3 little words?
Well, sir, there we were. Just off the boat at Newport News.
Yeah?
Fellas that had been through thin and thick together. Thin underwear and thick mud. Fought and bled together. Buddies. Well, sir, we knew lots of us would never see lots of us again, and it was kind of sentimental. All of a sudden, my sergeant comes up to me and puts his arms around my shoulders and says those 3 little words. Go home, civilian.
Hey, what outfit were you in? To judge by that uniform you've got on, you were with the Lewis and Clark expedition.
Can't tell you that, Junior. I can only give you my name, rank, and serial number. International law, security reasons, you know.
Oh, don't be silly, McGee. Don't be silly. That was 25 years ago.
Sure it was, and the War Department would still like to know who stole that boxcar full of... Ah, those were thrilling days. Yes, indeed. Did I ever tell you how I won the Croix de Guerre?
Did you win the Croix de Guerre? Really?
I won it, Junior, but I didn't get it. Jealousy, you know. You see, 2 other guys and me kidnapped von Hindenburg one night.
McGee, you never told me that.
I was afraid it might frighten you. It did me. Anyway, we kept von Hindenburg prisoner in a little patch of woods behind the German lines, hammering questions at him all night long, with a bayonet stuck in his back. He answered every question, too. When he'd answered everything, we threw him out and went back to our own lines.
With some pretty valuable information, too, I guess.
I would have had some valuable information, Junior, but none of us understood German. So we never knew exactly what he told us. But that's enough about me, Junior. I don't like to talk about my experiences.
Since when?
Say you spent most of the summer on the golf course, Junior?
Yeah.
Did you suppose those certain people up there in, Wisconsin, the folks that, the stuff, think they'd approve of that?
You mean the Johnson Wax people in Racine?
Yeah.
Sure, they loved it.
You mean they approved of your wasting the summer playing golf?
Playing what?
Golf.
Oh, I don't play golf.
But you said you spent most of the summer on the golf course.
What were you doing, trapping gophers?
No, I just sat there on the first tee with my bag of clubs.
You do it, Molly.
No, you do it.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Well, we'll both do it. What were you doing, Mr. Wilcox, sitting on the first tee?
With your bag of clubs if you don't play golf.
That's a very interesting question. Well, I had a can of Johnson's Wax sitting beside me, you see?
No.
Yes, sir. I sure did. It was the perfect demonstration of Johnson's Wax. For wood, for leather, for enamel surfaces. I'd wax my golf shoes in the golf bag, leather. Then my clubs, wood.
They use steel clubs nowadays, Waxy.
Oh, who cares? Then I'd wax all my golf balls, enamel. Well, sir, by that time, there'd be a crowd around me watching, and I'd give them a short pitch on Johnson's Wax, how it protects against the elements, preserves the finish, seals the pores against dust and dampness, and how it adds life and beauty to so many things. Oh, say, You're going down to meet LaTrivia, eh, pal?
You couldn't keep me away with a 10-foot pole named Stanislaus Walensky.
See you there, Mr. Wilcox.
Right. Goodbye.
Good old Waxy. Good old Waxy. I love the way he tightens up and gets so excited when he talks about Johnson's wax. What do you suppose causes that?
Surface tension.
Oh, of course. I should have known that.
Come in. Mrs. Carstairs, how nice to see you.
Good afternoon, my dear. You're looking very well.
Hi, Carsty. Look, I got a bone to pick with you.
How delightful. And then shall we bark at automobiles for an hour or so?
Well, he just wonders why you didn't ask him to be on the welcoming committee for Mayor LaTrivia, Mrs. Carstairs.
Don't you know that LaTrivia and I are extremely good friends, Carsty?
I do.
Did you realize that with me being an ex-serviceman myself, I might be the logical person to handle a difficult situation like this? Don't you think it would be fitting for one war hero to welcome the other war hero? May I ask why you deliberately give me the Hindu shuffle on this deal?
Pray do.
Pray do what, Mrs. Carstairs?
Pray ask me.
Okay, what was the idea of including me out of this celebration?
Since you are so insistent, Mr. McGee, it was at the request of Mayor LaTrivia himself. We have corresponded with him concerning his arrival, and he said in his last telegram, and I quote, "And please see that Fibber McGee is kept in the background," unquote.
Please see that Fibber McGee is kept in the background. Ah, sure. I think that's the finest compliment a man ever had.
Did you say compliment, dearie?
Why, don't you get it? Oh, that LaTrivia is so sentimental, he's afraid if he sees me, the first thing he'll do, he'll just go all to pieces. Can't trust himself. Imagine him being so emotional.
Well, now that we've settled that to Mr. McGee's satisfaction, and a remarkably cheap settlement it was, may I have a word with you, my dear?
Why, of course, Mrs. Carstairs. Pardon us, dearie.
Why, sure.
Now, as for the arrangements, my dear, we all meet down at the railroad station and form a group at the gate. So when Mayor LaTrivia's train comes in, I'll be ready.
Please keep Fibber McGee in the background. I'm going to treasure them words as long as I live. Why, to think that old LaTrivia thinks so much of me that
Heavenly days, what an anthill this station is. I don't know why the railroads can't arrange to have their trains come in someplace that isn't so crowded. I wonder where Mrs. Carstairs... Oh, there she is. Yoo-hoo, Mrs. Carstairs, yoo-hoo.
Oh, there you are, my dear. Is that awful little, is your husband with you?
No, he isn't. He just walked out of the house muttering something about staying in the background. He seemed... Oh, look, Mrs. Carstairs. There's Mr. Wilcox and Dr. Gamble. Yoo-hoo, boys, over here.
Hello, Molly. Hello, Millicent. Hollow and I were wondering what train our wandering Coast Guardsman was coming in on.
Never end a sentence with a preposition, Doc.
I'm old enough to end a sentence with a split infinitive if I want to. And I want to, but I can't think of one. Where's little Napoleon, Molly? Don't tell me he's going to miss this glorious opportunity to make a silly ass of himself.
Well, he just disappeared, Doctor.
I intentionally failed to tell him that there would be a newsreel cameraman here. I think you will agree that Mr. McGee is not our most photogenic citizen.
You're not whistling Dixie there, lady.
Oh, I don't know. I think McGee photographs very well. He has a nose just like Bob Hope.
Yes, and he has shoulders like Clark Gable. One on each side. However, that moth-eaten old uniform he was...
please. Train number 31, the Cinder Bucket, will arrive in 2 minutes on track 3 from East St. Louis, Kankakee, Moline, Joliet, and oddly enough, Havana, Cuba.
Come along, gentlemen. We must be at the gate to welcome the mayor.
Let's get over.
Well, where's LaTrivia?
I don't see anybody in uniform on that train, except that dumpy little guy in the... Oh, now, wait a minute. It can't be.
Heavenly days, it's McGee. McGee, how did you get on there?
Hi, folks.
Well, there's Mr. LaTrivia right behind him, trying to see what's going on. Move aside, Mr. McGee, move aside.
Look at LaTrivia trying to peek over McGee's shoulder. He looks like the middle Andrews sister.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to welcome home from the South Pacific Chief Gunner's Mate, His Honor, Mayor LaTrivia.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Needless to say, I've looked forward with a great deal of pleasure
Hold
to
it a
this
minute, LaTrivia. I wasn't through yet. Folks, since I climbed aboard at the edge of town, I have been briefing LaTrivia on how to conduct himself in civilian life. I've been telling him he can't expect to go into the first store he comes to and buy a girdle.
Oh, cut it out. We want to hear LaTrivia.
Come, Mr. Mayor. We have a car waiting for you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carstairs, and it's wonderful to see you again.
I was just telling LaTrivia that the cigarette situation...
LaTrivia, you seagoing ward healer. How are you, boy?
Doc Gamble. Why, you bald-headed old midwife. Glad to see you. And Harlow Wilcox.
Welcome home, pal. We've been keeping the ballot boxes hot for you.
Well, I must say, Well, Molly McGee. Hello, Molly.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. This is such a...
I've been telling LaTrivia about what us civilians been through while he was out there in them lazy old South Sea Islands, folks. I told him that he ought to...
Attention, please. Train number 31, the Cinder Bucket, now leaving on track 3. Board!
Well, wait a minute. My duffel bag. Huh? I must have left it on the train. McGee, would you mind...
Oh, I'll get it, LaTrivia. I'll be back in a second.
Hurry, McGee.
Well, I must say, folks, that when McGee got on the train at the edge of town, I was
I can't find it, LaTrivia.
Huh?
Okay, get off, McGee. Get off quick. No, don't. It's going too fast, dearie.
Let me off. Let me off. Stop the train. Right on the train. Let me off. Pull the cord.
Pardon me, Mr. Mayor, but this is your duffel bag right here, isn't it?
Yes, isn't it? Now, as I was saying, when McGee got on the train at the edge of town, I was really...
Every now and then, I feel that I should say something extra special about the newest form of Johnson's wax, to make sure you know about this new cream wax that was developed for furniture and woodwork. It's quite different from the regular liquid and paste wax. It's a white liquid, and it contains several cleansing ingredients, so that it does an amazing cleaning job. You can make this test in just a moment. Apply a little cream wax with a cloth to a strip of light-colored woodwork or your windowsill or refrigerator. Take a stretch that has smudgy fingerprints or other dirt, and notice how this disappears instantly. Then, with a minimum of rubbing, you'll give furniture and woodwork a soft, satiny wax luster that, believe me, is beautiful. This wax finish is dry and not oily, so dirt and dust don't cling to it. It gives furniture and woodwork real wax protection, and it makes your housework easier. Even if you already have the paste or liquid Johnson's wax on hand, just try one bottle of cream wax. You'll really like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, several years ago, there was a young fellow singing with the orchestra on this program, and he was a nice kid, and everybody liked him. In fact, everybody liked him so much they're making him one of the top singing stars of today. His name is...
Perry Como. And our congratulations and best wishes to him.
Then a little later, there was a drummer with Billy Mills' orchestra. But he had something besides a set of skins and a wire brush. He had ideas. And those ideas are now making him a miserable little fortune. You know who we mean?
Spike Jones. Nice going, Spike.
Then there was an actor named Harold Peary. After 7 or 8 years with us, he decided that crime didn't pay, and as the Great Gildersleeve, he's making Sunday night radio history. More power to him.
And last but not least, from these little Tuesday night weenie roasts, there came a character named Beulah. We want to extend our congratulations and all good wishes to Marlon Hurt and his own Beulah show.
Which all just goes to prove, folks, that class will tell.
Yeah? Yeah? Who knows? Maybe someday McGee and I'll have a show of our very own.
But that's for the future. Good night.
Good night, all.
Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax Finishes for Home and Industry, inviting you all to be with us again next Tuesday night. Stay tuned now for Bob Hope. And remember, Tuesday is a bigger comedy night than ever, with your old friends Amos and Andy being heard just before Fibber McGee and Molly. Good night.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
From 78 years ago, October 2nd, 1945, Fibber McGee and Molly will head to a spin-off of that show in Summerfield and the Great Gildersleeve in a moment. Can I ask you to come visit the webpage at classicradio.stream where you can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own? You can contact me there and find our social media links. classicradio.stream. You can even buy me a copy if you're so inclined. Now let's head to Summerfield and see what's going on in the household of the Great Gildersleeve, and Gildy is not going to be happy this time around. Oh, I forgot to say this was from 77 years ago, October 2nd, 1946.
The Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve. It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Peary, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of Parquet margarine and a complete line of famous quality food products. Now let's see what's been happening to Gildersleeve.
Well, it's plenty. Into the quiet town of Summerfield via the U.S. mail, a bomb has dropped. Everyone who is anyone in Summerfield has received this morning a creamy white envelope, roughly 4 by 6, with a postmark of Savannah, Georgia. No bargain offer, this. Eagerly, we pry open the flap, taking care not to cut our fingers, so fine and crisp the stationery. Inside, a second envelope with our name inscribed upon it, nothing else. We pause a moment to admire the penmanship and dive inside again. Ah, a wisp of tissue paper flutters to the floor. We rub our thumb across the engraving. Our eyes focus, and behold.
Mr. and Mrs. Tupper Hathaway request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their niece, Leila Barrington Ransom, to Dr. Julian Henry Culpepper on October 9th, 1946, at 4:30, Church of the Rebellion, Savannah, Georgia.
Yes, the whole town's talking about it. Long before breakfast, the neighbor's cook, Lily B., came hot-footing it across the street and around to the kitchen door with the news. So, though the invitation lies unopened beside Gildersleeve's plate at breakfast, Birdie knows full well what's in it, and she's briefed the children accordingly.
Now, remember what I told you, Leroy. Be nice to him.
I always
always am.
Well, a little nicer than that. You got to realize, Leroy, this is liable to be kind of hard on your uncle, Mrs. Ransom getting married like that.
Why? She isn't marrying him.
Well, Leroy, have you no feelings?
Sure.
On second thought, I think I'll just shove the invitation out of sight here under his butter plate.
Shh, here he comes.
I just act like nothing happened. Remember now, like nothing happened.
Good morning. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. I said good morning.
Morning, Mr. Gildersleeve. I'll go get your breakfast right away.
Marjorie?
Good morning, Unky.
Leroy, no word of greeting for your uncle?
Hi.
Well. What are you two staring at?
Leroy, will you pass the sugar?
Sugar? Yeah, sure. There you are, Marge. Sugar. Excuse me for not passing it before. I didn't notice you didn't have it.
Oh, that's all right.
Some salt? You got salt there?
Yes, I've had the salt things. I just wanted the sugar for my cocoa.
Marmalade. You want some marmalade?
Oh, I have some. I have plenty. Oh, but thank you just the same.
Well, that's all right. Anything you want, just ask for it.
Extraordinary. No mail come this morning?
There, you want the salt, you say, Marge?
She just had the salt. What's going on here? Bertie, did no mail come this morning?
What'd you say?
I asked if there wasn't any mail this morning.
No, sir, that is hardly any. Just the one thing there.
What thing?
Whatever it is.
Well, where? Where is it?
Under the butter plate.
Under a fine plate.
I better run out in the kitchen and see if anything's burning.
What's the matter with her? Savannah, Georgia. I'll have the sugar now, Leroy, if you feel you can spare it.
Aren't you going to open it?
Leroy.
Later. Just a wedding invitation from Mrs. Ransom. How about that sugar? What's the matter with you?
Boy, is Bertie full of baloney.
Well, when did you find out, Unky?
Find out what?
About Mrs. Ransom.
Getting married? Oh, I've known about that for a long time. She told me last night. She said she wanted me to be the first to know.
And you don't mind?
No, that was all over years ago. Leila's a fine girl. I wish her every happiness. But as far as I'm concerned, Bertie, what's keeping you out there?
Mr. Gildersleeve, did you...
Uncle Mort's ready, Bertie. You can take his plate. Oh, and incidentally, he knows all about everything, so you don't need to worry.
Yeah, don't worry about me.
Mr. Gildersleeve, it ain't none of my business, of course, but I just want you to know I just want you to know, that's all. See, I made you some nice milk toast this morning.
Milk toast? What for?
Well, I knew you wouldn't probably be feeling so good, and there ain't nothing sits easy on the stomach in time of trouble than milk toast.
I can't stand milk toast, Bertie. What do I want with milk toast anyway? I feel fine. Doorbell.
I'll go.
Let Bertie.
I'll get it.
Yes.
Oh, good morning, Judge. Come in.
I won't stay but a very few minutes, Bertie. Mr. Gildersleeve, I won't stay but a few minutes.
He's right in the dining room there.
Well, hello, Judge.
Gildy, old man.
Yeah. What are we shaking hands for?
Good morning, Judge.
Hi.
Marjorie, Leroy, I wonder if I could have a word with your uncle in private. Just for a moment.
Certainly.
We got to go to school anyway. Come on, Marge.
What's up, Judge?
Gildy, old man, anything I can do, anything at all. You know that, old man. Just call on me.
Call on you for what?
Anything. Are you planning to go to the office today?
Certainly.
Good. Work is the best medicine, they say. I'd offer to drive you down, but I think the walk would do you good.
Yeah.
The important thing is not to let this prey on your mind. I know how you feel, old man. I don't want you to think that
I feel fine.
That's the stuff. Try to keep that up. It's the only way to hold on to yourself. Chin up. Never admit for a minute even to yourself.
Listen, you've got me all wrong, Horace. I feel fine.
Bully for you. Keep telling yourself that.
Oh, listen, you old goat. I feel fine. You understand? I feel fine. I'm fine. Hello, Peavy.
Mr. Gildersleeve. Well, I didn't think we'd be seeing you today.
I don't know why not. I'm in here all the time. I guess I might as well take some cigars as long as I'm here. Peavy, I'd like some cigars.
Mr. Gildersleeve, well, there are some things that are very hard for a man to say, but we'd like you to know, Mrs. Peavy and I, we'd like you to come to dinner.
Well, that's very nice. I'd be delighted to come.
I'm an older man than you are, Mr. Gildersleeve, and I've had my share of disappointments, too. I'd just like to say that I know how you feel.
What's the matter with everybody? I feel fine. You hear that, Peavy? I feel fine. Good morning, Bessie.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yes?
Oh, I don't know what to say, but...
Don't say it. Bessie?
Yes, sir?
What are these?
What, sir?
On my desk here.
They're roses.
Get them out of here. I'm sorry, Bessie, but I can't stand all this sympathy. Ye gods, a man has no private life of his own in this town. You try to wind up something quietly, and the next morning everybody's looking at you. Everybody butting in and telling you they know how you feel. Don't you try to tell me how I feel. I feel fine. I'm very happy about the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
Good. Somebody came in. See who it is.
Yoo-hoo! Anybody here?
Leila. Now, what the...
Good morning, Bessie. Is Mr. Gildersleeve in?
Just a minute. I'll ask him.
Oh, well, don't bother. He'll see me. Throckmorton, you poor darling. How are you?
Fine and dandy, Leila. Never better.
Oh, I'm glad to see you taking it this way. I knew you would. You have so much character. I'm afraid I've come to ask a favor of you, Throckmorton. Aren't I terrible?
A favor at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, gracious, I've been up for hours. I'm trying to get everything packed for when I go home for the wedding. And do you know something awful? I can't get half my things into my trunks.
Maybe you'd better just give up the whole idea.
Oh, silly. I wondered if you'd mind too terribly much just expressing a few things for me.
No, of course not.
The only thing is I haven't anything to pack them in. You'd have to get some crates or something. But you wouldn't mind?
No.
Oh, it would only take you a couple of evenings, probably. I'll give you a key in case I'm not there myself.
All right, a couple of evenings?
Well, there's quite a lot of it. I think it's terribly generous of you to offer to do it, Throckmorton. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I know Julian Henry will be grateful, too.
Julian Henry.
You know, I think you're just a little bit jealous of Julian Henry.
I wish you every happiness, Leila.
Oh, come on now. Fess up. Aren't you just a little teensy bit jealous?
Nope.
Will you miss me just a little when I'm gone?
I have a very busy winter ahead, Leila. I have lots of plans. Lots of plans.
You poor darling. Well, I've got to go shopping, to do hairdress, a million things. Oh, I almost forgot.
What?
Hand me my handbag over there, will you?
Yeah.
I was cleaning out some old trash this morning, and I came across these.
What?
Well, don't tell me you don't recognize your own handwriting. They're your letters, silly. Love letters.
You've kept them all these years? What for?
Oh, 'cause they were so sweet. But I thought it was only fair to let you have them back now that they don't mean anything anymore. Besides, I wouldn't want Julian Henry finding them, would I?
Wait, don't you want the ribbon?
I'll leave you that to remember me by. Bye now.
Love letters. What a fool I was. Well, I know what to do with them. Oop, wait a minute. Maybe I ought to burn those if I remember it correctly. I wouldn't want Bessie. Not that she would. Smell nice. Sachet, I guess. She must have had them among her things. Gosh, that was 4 years ago. Let's see. My dear, darling, beloved Leila. I didn't sleep a wink all last night. All night long, I lay awake thinking of you. Once I got up and went to my open window where the moon was shining in. And as I stood there, gazing up at it, I thought to myself, that same moon is shining down upon my darling Leila, clear across the vacant lot there. I looked across and I could see your house and your own dear bedroom window. It was open a little. That made me wish that I were a little moonbeam and could steal in and nestle softly on the pillow beside your cheek. Oh, Leila, I love you so. I think if the day ever comes when we're no longer... Confound it! When I got up this morning, I felt perfectly all right.
Can Gildersleeve bear up? We'll find out in a few moments.
Mr. Lang, if it isn't one thing, it's another. Now that more wheat flour is available for baking my favorite rolls and muffins, it seems harder than ever to find a really good spread to serve with them.
Well, of course, all spreads for bread are very scarce right now.
Yes, but the one I mean is parquet margarine. It's been my family's favorite for years. In fact, that's one reason my rolls and muffins taste so good. Parquet adds such delicious flavor. But as I was saying, just try to find parquet in the food stores when you want it.
I know just what you mean. But here's the picture. Try as we may at Kraft, we just can't seem to catch up with the demand for parquet margarine. We're continuing to make as much parquet as available supplies permit. And we're rushing it to your food dealer, flavor fresh and country sweet. Always of the same high quality that has made parquet a favorite spread of millions. So be sure to look first for parquet when you shop. Your dealer will have it for you from time to time, so ask for parquet. Parkay, parquet margarine, made by Kraft.
Let's get back to the great Gildersleeve, who is now thoroughly convinced his heart is broken. What to do? He finally decides he'll put on a brave face and seek the consolation of masculine companionship at the Jolly Boys Club. Let's peep into the club now where, though Gildersleeve has not arrived, he is the subject of conversation.
Poor old Gildersleeve. He's been fooling around with that woman for a long time.
4 or 5 years at least. Think of all the dough he must have spent on her.
Floyd, must you be crass?
Crass? What the heck is that? Well, figure it out for yourself. A picture show here, a meal there, mounts up in a few years. Where does it get him? First guy that comes along with a half-a-carat diamond, Gildersleeve gets the pink slip.
Oh, it doesn't seem right. How's he taking it? Anybody seen him?
Well,
I ain't seen him, but I'll give 8 to 5 Gildersleeve ain't losing any sleep over it. He'll have to make some new arrangements, that's all.
I happen to disagree with you, Floyd. I think he's taking this thing pretty hard. Have you seen him, Peavy?
Yes, I saw him.
Well, what did you think?
I don't think he likes it.
In my opinion, it's a real blow to him, a real blow.
Poor old Gildersleeve. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yes, sir. That's the way it goes.
Yes, sir.
Well, for crying out loud, we don't have to act like a funeral. Let's get a card game going here or something. Come on, Peavy.
Well, I might play for a few minutes just to see how the cards are running.
Last time you said that, you took away $6.50. Hey, I think I hear somebody coming.
Sounds like Gildersleeve. I never thought he'd feel up to this.
Let's be real nice to him. A fellow jolly boy that's had a tough break.
Yeah. Well, jolly boys. Chief Gates, as I live and breathe. Did you catch a lot of crooks today?
How are you, Commissioner?
And Judge Hooker, the old spirit of habeas corpus.
Hi, Gildy.
And Floyd, the tonsorial artist. And Peavy, the merry pharmacist. Greetings, one and all.
Hi, Commissioner.
You seem to be in good spirits, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah, why shouldn't I be?
That's what I told him, Commissioner.
Shut up, Floyd.
Why? What's the matter? Mr. Gildersleeve, the boys were telling me you were down in the mouth about your girlfriend dumping you.
I don't care for the way you put it.
I mean about Mrs. Ransom getting married. Anyway, I stuck up for you. I said you'd roll with the punch and come up smiling.
That's right, Floyd. That's me. Often a bridesmaid, but never a bride. But I can take it. What do I care?
That's a spirit.
No, sir. Leila is a fine girl. I wish her every happiness.
I think you're being very generous, Gildy.
Yes, I guess I am.
Fellas, I have a suggestion. Listen, we all know Mrs. Ransom. She's been on a lot of outings at the Jolly Boys Club.
Now, what about it?
I was thinking it'd be a real nice gesture if the club would all chip in and buy her a wedding present. That is, if Mr. Gildersleeve has no objection.
Oh, no. A nice gesture, Chief, as you say.
Then I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
I second it. What do you say, Peavy? Don't you agree this is a proper and friendly gesture for the Jolly Boys to make?
What kind of a present would it be?
We can think about that later. Are you in favor of the idea?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm against it.
Oh, you make me tired.
Now, Judge, let's not be impatient with friend Peavy. He just don't want to buy a pig in a poke, that's all. The way I look at it, Peavy, we should get her something substantial and at the same time reasonably priced.
What did you have in mind?
Well, say we was all to put in $2 apiece. That's $10. Get her let's see. Piece of tapestry makes a nice gift. Yeah, a piece of tapestry to hang on the wall. Then every time she looked at it, she'd think of the Jolly Boys back in Summerfield.
What will her husband think when he looks at it?
Oh, quit worrying, Peavy. Are you with us or not?
Well, I'll go along with the rest, Will.
That's a boy.
Chief.
What is it, Commissioner? You got a different idea for the gift?
Oh, no. I think the tapestry is fine. Only, well, naturally, in my position, I'll be expected to give her a present myself. Something fairly substantial. So I'm afraid I won't be able to contribute to the club kitty.
Oh. Well, maybe we can get a tapestry for $8. It don't have to cover the entire wall. Okay, Judge?
Yeah.
Okay, Peavy? Okay, Floyd?
No, it ain't okay.
Well,
I don't see why we should buy her a present in the first place.
Well, why not?
Because she done a dirty trick to a fellow Jolly Boy, that's why.
Now, Floyd...
Horace, please. Floyd, I appreciate your sentiment. As I said before, Leila is a fine girl. I wish her every happiness.
Well, that's all well and good, but just the same, she done you a...
She's found someone she loves. That's all that really matters.
It takes a real man to say a thing like that.
You're so right, Chief.
I mean it, fellas. If Leila can find happiness with this fellow, raise a family, perhaps, I'll not stand in her way.
Say, what about the card game we were starting here? Let's get going.
How about a song?
That's a better idea. A song.
Okay, come on, guys. Get around the piano. How about this one? Oh, the moonlight's fair tonight along the Wabash.
That's good.
Okay.
From the fields there comes a breath of new mown hay. Through the sycamores, the candlelights are gleaming on the banks of the Wabash. Oh, that was great, fellas. Let's have another.
Oh, no, Floyd. Not that.
For heaven's sakes, Floyd.
No, Floyd. Go ahead and play that one. I want to sing it.
Okay, Commissioner.
I wonder who's kissing her now. I wonder who's teaching her now. I wonder who
who's looking into her eyes, breathing sighs, telling lies. I wonder who's buying the wine for lips that I used to call mine. I wonder if she ever thinks about he.
Why, Commissioner, get him a Coke, somebody.
Get him a double Coke, baby. Get us all a Coke while you're at it.
Never should have started that song.
I'm sorry, fellas. I didn't mean it.
That's perfectly okay, Commissioner. You're among friends.
Thanks.
And when a fellow gets a blow like you got...
She's a fine girl. I wish her every happiness.
I'd just like to say, Commissioner, I know how it is.
Oh, no, Chief. You're happily married.
Yes, I am, but there was a girl ahead of my wife. I thought I'd never get over it.
Yes.
I'd just as lief you didn't mention it to Hazel.
Oh, of course.
You want to play a little cards, Commissioner?
I don't know, Floyd.
Seeing you feel so lousy, the boys might make a special concession. We'd play bridge just for you. How about it?
Thanks, Floyd. I don't think I could keep my mind on it.
Just let him sit there and drink his Coke.
It's a hard, hard world.
Well, we're just going to sit around like this all night?
Now, Judge, drink your Coke and be quiet a minute. Feeling a little better, Mr. Gildersleeve?
I think the Coke is helping.
I might remind you fellas that Gildersleeve is not the only man around here who feels a sentimental pang at Mrs. Ransom's decision.
Quit trying to horn in on the sympathy.
Well.
Well, let's do something.
Yeah, let's.
Do what?
Yeah, what?
I don't know.
Boy, this is a dead town. When's Halloween?
I don't know. October, November.
Boy, we used to have some real fun on Halloween when I was a kid. Kids nowadays don't have the kind of fun we had.
Good thing, too. Halloween's a bad night for the police department.
I remember one trick we used to pull. We'd take and set somebody's garbage pail up on the railing of the porch. Kind of balance it there, see? Then tie a string on it and fasten the string to the doorknob and then ring the doorbell.
Yeah.
Garbage all over the place. We didn't do it. The guy done it himself when he opened the door.
That keeps it perfectly legal.
Fellas, let's go out and dump over somebody's garbage pail.
You joking, Mr. Gildersleeve?
No, I'm not. That's just what I feel like doing tonight. Come on, Floyd, are you game?
Well, I'm game if the rest are. How about it, Peeve? Come on, it'll take 10 years off of you.
Yeah, I'd be willing to watch.
Good old Peavy. Whose pail shall we dump over?
How about Judge Hooker? Oh, no, he's here.
I certainly am.
Well, who'll it be?
Fellas, how about Mrs. Ransom?
Commissioner.
Gildy, you really mean it?
Certainly I mean it. After all, look what she did to me.
He's himself again.
And we'll hear from the Great Gildersleeve again in just a minute. One of the questions we're asked most often is, when is there going to be more Parquet margarine in the food stores? Frankly, we don't know. But our best guess is that the shortage may extend over a period of several months. That doesn't mean, of course, that there'll be any less Parquet produced. Kraft's modern margarine plants are continuing to make as much Parquet as present supplies permit. And just as quickly as more fine American vegetable oils are made available through government allocation, Kraft will be ready to speed up production. Meanwhile, we're distributing Parquet as fairly as we know how, with your food dealer's splendid cooperation. He'll have Parquet for you from time to time. So be sure to look first when you shop for delicious, flavor-fresh Parquet, Parkay, Parquet margarine, made by Kraft.
Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that two more fine programs are joining NBC's great Wednesday night lineup this evening. Immediately following this program over most of these stations, you will hear Duffy's Tavern with Ed Gardner as Archie. Then, of course, Mr. District Attorney as usual, and following that, Frank Morgan as the fabulous Dr. Tweedy. Good night, folks.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Peary. It is written by John Whedon and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meekin. Included in the cast are Walter Tetley as Leroy, Lillian Randolph as Burley, and Shirley Mitchell as Leila Ransom. Judge Hooker is Earl Ross, and Dick LeGrand plays Mr. Peavy. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next Wednesday for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
Do the children in your family like fine cheese? Then you can just bet they'll love Pabst-ett. It's so rich in mellow cheddar cheese flavor, so easy to digest. Pabst-ett is a cheese food that contains nourishing food values of milk, and it's simply delicious on bread or crackers, or melted into a luscious sauce for hot vegetables, eggs, and macaroni. Why not buy both delicious varieties? Pimento Pabst-ett in the red package, and golden cheddar Pabst-ett in the familiar round yellow package. Get Pabst-ett at your food store tomorrow.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
It was originally a 1941 spin-off of Fibber McGee and Molly, where Gildy was the neighbor of the McGees and owned Gildersleeve's Girdle Works. He then moved to Summerfield to take over stewardship of his niece and nephew who had been orphaned. So Gildersleeve doing the responsible family thing and learned how to become a bachelor father, if you will, sort of. Anyway, Harold Peary, the Great Gildersleeve, and by the way, Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve, the middle name, Philharmonic. Yeah, that's what they say. 77 years ago, October 2nd, 1946, the Great Gildersleeve here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We will head to Pine Ridge, Arkansas in just a moment to jump into another storyline of Lum and Abner. But first, if you like our show, go to classicradio.stream. You can learn about streaming our program on the go. You can also learn more about building a classic radio collection. You can find our social media links. And if you'd like to support me, buy me a coffee. Buy me a coffee link there at classicradio.stream. Now, we go back 82 years to the start of a new storyline. The 1935 shows that we were carrying a week or so ago of Lum and Abner died off. So we are jumping ahead now to October 2nd, 1941. This is the next stretch of shows that we have serial content of. So we will jump to those. October 2nd, 1941, 82 years ago, as the boys are studying various sales methods.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Say, friends, Lum and Abner have asked me to remind all you listeners that you'll find it mighty wise to keep a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets in your home during the cold-catching days ahead. Yes, that very same Alka-Seltzer you take for headaches and minor stomach upsets also offers mighty effective relief in cold distress. Now, what's more, the modern Alka-Seltzer way to relief is as easy and as simple as ABC. Just listen. A, Alka-Seltzer. Start taking it according to directions on the package just as soon as you begin to sniffle and sneeze. B. Begin to take other common sense precautions as well. Get more rest than usual, eat wisely, dress sensibly, and C. Call Alka-Seltzer to the rescue for that sore throat, too. You just dissolve 2 tablets in a quarter glass of water, then gargle. Now, that's easy enough, isn't it? Mighty sensible, too, as you'll agree once you've experienced the prompt, pleasant relief Alka-Seltzer offers for that headache and that dull, achy feeling of a cold. Be sure to try it whenever a cold causes you distress. Now, if you haven't a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets in your home now, get one from your druggist right away and keep it handy, especially during the cold-catching days ahead. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum is still trying to bring the sales method of their Jot-'em-Down store up to date by studying the book they recently purchased on modern salesmanship. However, he's having a difficult time trying to teach Abner the underlying principles. As we look in on the little community today, we find the old fellows down at their Jot-'em-Down store discussing the results of their efforts. Listen.
Grannies, I can't understand it, Abner. We've had this book for 2 days now, and our business ain't increased a bit.
Well, that advertisement said that feller in Clinton, Iowa, increased his business 72% in 2 days, Lum.
I know it.
And if anything, our business is falling off. You ain't been reading that book backwards, have you?
Of course not. Maybe we ain't given it enough time yet, Abner. One thing, we ain't had enough customers to work it on.
Well, I've been trying out that cheery greeting and all that on everybody that comes in, but they all start backing off like they're suspicious of me.
Well, I believe you've been overdoing that, Abner. Like yesterday when you greeted Mamie Seastrength whenever she come in here. Slapped her on the back hard enough to might nigh knock the breath out of her. I don't think we ought to slap women folks on the back when you greet them.
Well, that book said customers, never said what kind.
Well, I think that's carrying things too far, though. I believe by the time we get through reading the whole book, our sales will start picking up.
Well, that tells you so many things to do in there, I just can't recollect them all.
Well, you don't have to try everything it says on each customer. I was just glancing over a chapter a while ago about that. It tells about the different kinds of customers, how you're supposed to size them up, and how you treat each type.
Well, I think we ought to treat all the customers just the same, not show no favorites, Lum.
Well, they mean some things will work on one type of customer that won't work on another.
Well, what do you mean, type of customer?
Well, they've got a bunch of different types, according to the book. Wait, where is that? I turned the page down, I know.
Well, you sure been studying that thing, I'll say that for you. Had your nose buried in it ever since we got it.
Here it is, right here. There are several types of customers, the most common of which are the aggressive type, the impulsive type, the reticent type, the friendly type, the intellectual type, the indecisive type, the suspicious type, and each must be treated in a different manner.
Well, what if you don't know what kind you're talking to, though, and you use the wrong talk on them?
Well, it goes on to say here that the first thing a salesman has to learn to do is to size up your customer. Find out what type they are.
Well, what's their size got to do with it?
I say you size them up.
Well, yeah, if they come in here wanting a pair of overalls or something like that, but I don't see what difference it makes how big a feller is if he just wants a can of tomatoes or some baking powder. You can't always tell by the size of a feller that way, Lum. Not like Fred Quincy, for instance.
Fred Quincy? What's he got to do with it?
Well, you know how little and skinny he is. I'll put him up again every man you ever seen when it comes to eating. I don't know where he puts it. Down there at the old settlers' picnic this year, they left him there to guard the pies that they was going to use in a pie-eating contest.
Yeah.
Doggers, when it come time for the contest, they weren't a one of them pies left.
You mean he had all the pies by himself?
Well, he claimed there was a big bear come in there and ate him up, but of course everybody knowed it was him.
Yeah. They ought to give him the prize for winning the contest.
Well, they couldn't. They had a big layer cake for the prize. Me dad blamed he hadn't ate that, too.
And he must have an appetite.
Well, it just seems to sort of hit him by spells at eating. Now, they had a watermelon eating contest about a half hour later, and he just won second place in that.
Well, I do know.
And he's just a little bitty skinny feller, too.
Well, size ain't got nothing to do with what they're talking about here in the book, though, Abner. When it says sizing up somebody, it means judging somebody by his looks or his words or how he acts.
Well, you could tell by Fred Quincy's looks what size he was.
I mean, well, it says here, for instance, you can always tell the impulsive type by their fast, quick, nervous motions and mannerisms of speech.
Yeah, well, Fred ate fast, too.
Well, forget about Fred Quincy for a while and listen to this. Concentrate on the book.
Go ahead.
It says here, the way to handle this type of customer is to make the sales talk brief and to the point. Often, a quick demonstration of the article is much more impressive than a long, drawn-out sales argument.
Yeah, well, now, what do they mean there, that demonstration, Lum?
Well, demonstrate it. Show how it works before you try to sell it.
Oh, my doggies, that's interesting.
Oh, this is fine stuff to know here. The sound reasoning and everything it says, every line of it.
Well, sir, I bound you the feller that wrote that could sell anything, you know it?
Yeah.
I don't reckon he's the one that come through here a few years ago selling lightning rods, was he?
Selling what?
Lightning rods.
Oh, I don't know. I don't recollect that feller's name.
Hell, it might be. He was a seller, I'll say that for him. He weren't here but a few days, and again he left town, he had lightning rods on everything in this town. Even sold old Stingy Jim Watson a raft of them.
If he sold old Stingy Jim one, why, he was a salesman, I'll say that for him.
Had lightning rods on everything on his place. House, barn, silo, even a chicken coops. 2 on his wagon and 1 on the plow. Had everything lightning rodded.
For goodness sake. Well, you see, he must have found out just what type Stingy Jim was and knowed the right way to handle him. See, Stingy Jim is sort of the suspicious type, and a little on the indecisive type, if I know just what that means. You see, what it says here about him, find out just how he handled old Stingy Jim.
Yeah, read what it says. I'd love to sell him something.
The suspicious or indecisive type are very slow to make up their mind.
That's Stingy Jim right there.
And contrary to the impulsive type, a long and persuasive sales argument is most effective. The first step in handling this type is through gaining their confidence. This is usually accomplished by first discussing subjects in which they are interested, rather than rushing immediately into a sales argument.
Now, cripple that and run it through again, Lum. I believe I jumped the track there on you.
Well, it means don't be in a rush to sell them. Sort of visit with them. Talk about things they're interested in. Find out what they like. Now, with Stingy Jim, he loves money, and if I was going to undertake to sell him something, I'd get on the subject.
Lum, Cedric, we hunt, Cedric.
Well, now, Cedric's sort of that type we was just reading about.
Well, he ain't stingy, Cedric.
No, but he's slow about making up his mind and all, sort of the suspicious and indecisive type. Now, you try to rush him into a deal, and he'll balk on you.
Oh, well, I know just how to handle him. He loves to fish and hunt.
Yeah.
I'll get to talking to him about that and see if I can't sell him something.
Yeah, this is a good chance for you to try it out. Now, just take your time.
Yeah, mind out.
Yeah, howdy, Cedric.
Come in, Cedric.
Well, howdy. Mr. Abner, could I get about 5 pounds of horseshoe nails right quick?
Why, sure, Cedric, sure.
You helping your pa over at the blacksmith shop now, Cedric?
No, Mom, just this afternoon I am. They got him swamped under over there. Shoeing 1 span of mules and got 3 teams a-waiting.
Well, you been doing any fishing lately, Cedric?
No, Mom, I ain't, Mr. Abner. About 5 pounds of them nails.
I hear Luther Phillips catched a 28-pound catfish down there in Big Eddy.
Yes, Mom, I seen it down there at the barber shop yesterday morning.
Well, what was a fish doing in the barber shop?
Oh, he just brung it down there to show it off, I think.
Oh.
Sit down, Cedric, sit down.
No, Mom, Reckon I ain't got time. Paul's waiting on them nails.
Been doing any hunting, Cedric?
Went squirrel hunting last Friday.
Well, where'd you go, over on old Piney Mountain?
No, Mom. Just down there in them Pin Oak Flats along the river there.
Uh-huh. Did you do any good?
Yes, Mom, they're pretty thick down there this year. You ain't out of them horseshoe nails, are you, Mr. Abner?
Oh, Lord, me no, Cedric. Got worlds of plenty of 'em back there. Now, don't worry about us running out of nothing here at the Jot 'em Down store. You can always depend on us. Whose dog did you take?
Mom, that little Fiesta Esri Sea Strunks.
Little black and white one?
Yes, Mom.
Is he better than that hound Esri's old trump?
I believe he puts 'em up a tree better. But what about them nails there?
Oh, well, here, wait a minute. I'll get a hammer back here. I want to demonstrate 'em to you.
Mom, you want to do what?
Wait a minute, Abner. You're getting mixed up there. That ain't for customers like Cedric. That's for the impulsive type, that demonstrating.
No, sir, you said it was for the spacious type, Lum.
I never done no such a thing.
You did, too. Don't you know you read it right there?
I know what it said. Goodness, let me find out here. I'll prove it to you.
You're going to find out you're wrong, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we'll see, we'll see.
Mr. Abner.
Oh, wait a minute, Cedric, wait a minute.
Let's see, I believe it was on this page here.
You're wrong, you're wrong.
Well, get your head out of the way. I can't see nothing. Your head right there in the book.
Oh.
Yeah, here it is, right here. The way to handle the impulsive type of customer is to make the sales talk brief and to the point. Often a quick demonstration of the article is much more impressive than a long, drawn-out sales argument. See there, Grannies, I know they had you there.
Well, I just got the two mixed up together there somewhere, I reckon. Well, all right, Cedric, 5 pounds. Cedric, where'd he go?
Hey, Cedric!
Oh, there he goes, Lum, across the street into Dick Huddleston's store. Dad blamed that book anyway.
Yeah, well, don't lay it on to the book now, Abner. It's our own fault. We sized him up wrong, I reckon. Granny, Cedric must be the impulsive type.
Well, there's still some doubt as to how this system of modern salesmanship is going to affect the Jot 'em Down store. But how differently it frequently is with you and me. Now, there's no doubt, for example, what will happen when we let our appetites get the better of our good judgment, when we eat far more than we know we should. Now, we know from experience that we're more likely than not going to have to pay for our pleasure. But say, have you ever tried the quick, pleasant Alka-Seltzer way to relief for the discomforts that frequently follow too much to eat or drink? You should, because Alka-Seltzer is really made to order for such times. In fact, it offers threefold relief. First, it eases that dull, aching head, and it neutralizes excess gastric acidity, and it helps relieve that full, stuffy feeling all at the same time. No wonder, then, that so many thousands of folks now rely on Alka-Seltzer to give them the kind of relief they want for after-eating discomforts. If you've never tried it, don't put it off any longer. You can get Alka-Seltzer at all drugstores, either by the package or by the glass at the soda fountain.
The old boys trying to handle that advanced salesmanship. October 2nd, 1941, 82 years ago. Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for spending part of your Monday with us. A reminder, you can find all of our shows on demand at classicradio.stream. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. You can also find our shows at my webpage, classicradio.stream. Stream the shows, learn about building a classic radio collection. You can contact us there, find our social media links, classicradio.stream. Don't forget the sales going on now at mypillow.com. Promo code Wyatt or 1-800-928-4715. The limited edition 20th anniversary MyPillow as low as $19.98. King size $10 more. Have yourself a great day. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox back tomorrow. See you then.